No bias, just opinions, commentary, and fun. I'm Ski Mask Shorty, delivering the tea you didn't ask for but definitely needed.
Welcome back to the channel. Please like and subscribe. So y'all, in this video, this is Stephanie Said So on TikTok, and she discusses her nightlife and how she got into it. Now, before I post her nightlife live, well, she did a live and then she did some video. This girl has been on a roll, okay? She has a lot to share with us. Now, nonetheless, before I post her nightlife clip, I'm going to post her initial response to Gorgeous Doll, because Gorgeous Doll said that she basically outed Stephanie for being an escort. Now, Stephanie has not denied these allegations. As a matter of fact, according to Gorgeous Doll, she has a verified Eros account, which apparently is a escort website. Now, Stephanie did not hide this. We're going to get into her response, then we'll get into her video. Let's go, Shug. Get comfortable, get ready, and we're about to do this.
And posting my second identity is not going to make me mad, baby. I've never lied about what I do. Yes, if a man takes care of me mentally, physically, and or financially, I'm going to return the favor however I see fit. Mwah.
Okay, y'all, that was a story that she had put in her page, so it wasn't necessarily just a post. That was a story, because just to recap, Gorgeous Doll posted a picture in her stories of this young lady's Eros account. And when I say Eros, I mean E-R-O-S, Eros account. Again, an escort account, allegedly. Now we're about to get into Stephanie Said So's story time on how she got into the nightlife and what this all meant for her, and then we'll get to the other Gorgeous Doll saga. If you are here because you want to understand Stephanie, then great, but there is a bit of allure, so to speak, pun intended, with Gorgeous Doll and Stephanie Said So. They have been going back and forth for about a week and continuing even at the time of this video being posted. So this helps people understand Stephanie a little better. Let's watch her video, and then if you're interested in the debacle between the two girls, the two ladies, excuse me, please feel free to visit my YouTube and check out their other videos. All right, Shug, let's get into it. And remember, in every mess is a message, so let's see what we can learn here.
Let's chat. Y'all, my voice is gone, so please bear with me. So I'm going to tell you guys about nightlife, how I got into nightlife. Let's get it done. I'll tell you guys in a different story, like where I'm from, why I moved to Atlanta, but this is nightlife. So I was initially waiting tables at a restaurant. I was waiting tables at Houston's. I had already been in the service industry for years prior, which I'll tell in a different video, but I was waiting tables at Houston's at the time. They had trained me to bartend at one point. They wanted to promote me to bartending. But I was 19, so I didn't know anything about liquors for real. Me and my friends, we was broke. We was drinking Svedka vodka, with some damn cranberry juice and calling it a day. What is a Moscow Mule? What is a Long Island iced tea? Huh? So, hello. So, I was waitressing. I didn't make it through bartending training at Houston, so I was waitressing. I then met a friend of mine who was, and we are still friends to this day, who was working at the strip club. So she was working at Pink Pony. She was a dancer. So she was like, you should try to come work here. I'm pretty sure that was in, it's gotta be 2016, maybe late 2015, potentially. So, yeah, because I know I had been in Atlanta for a full year at least. So it's probably 2016. So I went in, you guys, and I was trying to dance. I had never been in a strip club before in my life. So I try out, I audition. They did not, I didn't know what I literally just stood there. I was so uncomfortable. Y'all, it's so embarrassing now that I look back on it. That's why I always tell girls, somebody was asking me the other day, I want to try out dancing for a week. Babe, you've never been in a strip club, you need to patronize it first. Even if you're starting at a new strip club, I always recommend patronizing a club before you go. before you go for employment anyway. So I go in, I try to dance. They did not hire me. They hired me for day shift, or I could do shot girl. So I became a shot girl at Pink Pony. So I was a shot girl for like 3 months. I liked it, but this is also pre-BBL, y'all, pre-BBL. So I was still a pretty girl, and in case y'all want to see pictures of me before BBL, before surgery, because I'm going to do a surgery video too, you can go on my Instagram. I had pictures of me all the way in high school because I feel like it adds character. I could have deleted all my old photos and sort of like kept up with an image, but like I am who I am, and I've always been pretty much an open book. So I was shot girl there for like 3-4 months. I did not love it, so I left. I also didn't really have too much hustle. I was just a sweet, nice little country girl. So I hadn't been like Atlantanized yet, like Atlana'd out, like no. So I left there. My friend at the time, she was like, okay, I'm gonna go dance at this other club. So she was dancing at this other club, and it's called Tease. So I go in to get hired, and I wanted to waitress. So they hired me as a waitress, because Pink Pony wouldn't hire me as a waitress, because it's really hard with like, at least that club specifically, they hire girls that they've had for like 10 years. A lot of companies appreciate like loyalty. So that's why you'll see in certain clubs the aesthetic for the waitresses and bartenders, they're not just like the baddest girls. They're like, I think at Pink Pony they wear like little black tank tops and leggings. Like they're not, it's not giving bad, you know what I'm saying? It's not giving that girl, it's just giving bartenders bland, boo. So bartender doesn't get bland and boo in a lot of places, but yeah, at certain clubs you'll see that, because they just don't care what the waitresses look like. They just want good service. So and you'll find in the club industry, a lot of people don't believe that pretty women can give good service. You'll see that a lot, but that's besides the point. So I went with her. This was an urban club. It's actually called Allure now, but at the time that building was called Tease. So I start working there as a waitress, and it was cool. I didn't make a lot. I think the most money I ever made in one night was like $400 or $500 from this guy who just tipped me really well. Like it wasn't all that. But I did meet my Mr. Matt, and I'm going to tell y'all about Mr. Matt one day. I met my Mr. Matt, and I met him at the club, because the club I was working at Tease, they were leaving business cards at golf courses. So he happened to be in town for he happened to be in town, and he was at the golf course golfing, and he saw the strip club business card, so he went. So he meets me, and he's like, hey, hi, you're so pretty. He was just like so on my body. So Mr. Matt gave me a little like $500 tip, I think. And then he was like, I'd like to see you tomorrow. Like, let's go shopping. Y'all, I had never been to Neiman's, Saks, or any of that. He took me to Neiman's and Saks for the first time. He paid for my body. He bought me my first Benz, my first Louis Vuitton, my first Louis Vuittons. And I'll tell his story later. But
if you're liking the video, please like and subscribe.
Anyways, so he had paid for my body to get done. But I was still working at Tease. So then I don't remember how long I was at Tease, only a few months, and I met Mr. Matt, and then, I probably worked there a couple months later after, and then VLive was hiring. They had a open call that I saw posted, so I went. Keep in mind, you guys, and I need to definitely make this part known. I had already VLive had when they first opened up in Atlanta, they had a televised casting call that was on TMZ. It was so many girls. I went to get hired as a waitress. I did not get hired. That was like months before. I don't remember exactly when, but it was months before. So when they had another open call, I guess this was like 6 or 8 months after they opened. I'm not exactly sure. They needed more waitresses. I went in. I got hired as a waitress pre-BBL. So that when they say you can't get no. And I had like a little Mexican girl body, respectfully. I love my Mexicans. I'm just saying, you know how like just call it. I'll say I was a little SpongeBob girl. So, I started at VLive waitressing, and I met people. I also was bartending. They moved me to bartending at sometimes during the day shift. I would bartend, and then I also was the door girl. Y'all, I made some money at the door. Me and this other girl. We would work together. We had a tip jar that said "tip the titties," and I would ask for a tip from everybody. You want to give me a tip? You're going to put something in our tip jar. Keep in mind, this wasn't like one of those clubs where you could just throw something in the tip jar and not pay to get in. No, baby. They watched everything. You absolutely had, no. They were watching on the cameras. They wanted, and some people would be like, I got to tip you and pay. Ain't I supposed to tip so I don't got to pay? It was funny, but no, I was making money at that door. I think one night we made like $800 a piece. Plus the club was paying us like $150 to do the door. So it was some money at the door. So I met people, build, networked, and yeah, got a clientele. So VLive closes. I go to work one day and it's just closed. Doors closed. And I'm like, no, Bubby, don't do it. And I'm like, and they said they were closed down. So I was like, oh. I can't remember how long I was at VLive. I feel like I was at VLive for like 6 months. I also want to say that while I was working at VLive, I'd say like 3 months into it, maybe 2 months, because Mr. Matt bought my body like quick. So I had only been at VLive for like a month before I got my first BBL. I went and got my BBL and I came back to work. I still had a slim BBL, so it wasn't much change, but just my shape was really, really nice. So I got my BBL, got my little Benz, had my little Louis bag. So I'm, bossing up a little, like I'm looking like money now. So while at VLive, like I said, one day I come to work, doors closed, doors locked, can't get in. They're like, we're closed. Keep in mind, they never said they were actually closed. They said it was temporary. No club is ever going to tell you that they're about to close or whatever. It's like, it was temporary. Love y'all though. Love y'all. Blondie, Vic, Bambi, thank you for hiring me. Country. So I know I'm missing some of y'all. So VLive closes, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna go try to get hired at Magic. Keep in mind, y'all, I had already went to Magic like twice and tried to get hired. Once when I was like 19. I think I went to Magic before I even went to any other club. I can't exactly remember, but I never got hired. I came in, they were like, write your name down. If you go to Magic, you try to get hired and they tell you to write your name down, baby, they are not calling you back. So I probably went like once or twice to get hired and didn't get hired. Well, this day I walk in, and this is the story of how I got hired at Magic, which is like, to me, out of all the clubs in Atlanta, it's definitely the most prestigious. Allure too. So let me give them my credit because I love y'all. But I'm going to tell you the next story about how I started at Magic, was a calendar girl, etc.
Have any of y'all watching been to Allure or Magic City? I've been to Magic City, but I never been to Allure. And if you've been, tell me what y'all think about both places.
The second part of my nightlife story time. And you guys, I am going to do a Q&A and give y'all like tips and tricks. I wrote down like 10 different things to touch on. This is just my nightlife story. So long story short, I pretty much get into, I go to Magic. So I go to Magic, VLive closes. I go to Magic to get hired. I had already been to Magic a couple times to get hired, and it didn't happen. Over the course of like 2 years, I went twice and never got hired. And you guys, I might tell the same story twice because I don't know why my videos keep deleting. I've recorded the same video 3 times, so it's like I don't know what I told y'all on the first one, second one, third one, because they keep deleting. So I go to Magic to get hired. I go to the front doors. I tell them I'm here for employment. Security says to me, you are here for you're here at the wrong time. This is a lot of time. I said, okay, thank you. I went to my car. As I go to my car, Juju, the hiring manager, love you, Juju, comes out, and he comes to my car and he says, hey, you're here for employment? I said, yeah. He said, are you here to dance? And I said, no, waitress. Now, y'all, waitressing in certain clubs is harder to get hired than dancing, and I'll talk about that in my Q&A video. So I said, no, waitress. He said, okay. He said, you have experience? I said, yes, I worked here, here, and here. He said, okay. He said, come back tomorrow. I went back the next day. He gives me a pamphlet of like their drink prices, bottle prices, etc. He says, study this, come back when you're ready. I said, okay. So I studied it. Thank God I actually studied it because they gave me a test. I passed. I started. I worked at Magic for 2 years. I was Miss November 2017 in the calendar. I was that waitress that was bringing the money in. There was like a few other girls too, because other girls had been there and had longevity. Kimmy was definitely that girl. Ari was getting money. Binky, all the girls, Jazz, it was girls getting money. But I was definitely getting, and I was young. I was the youngest girl working at Magic at the time because I got hired and got my permit on my 21st birthday, so I know I had to be the youngest.
That is pretty young, y'all.
Because when I went to get my permit, they had told me that you have to wait till your 21st birthday, because I was 20 at the time. It was like a few days before my 21st birthday. And I said, well, I'm grandfathered in. You guys, when I first started working in the clubs in Atlanta, you had to have a permit, which you had to pay for, an adult entertainment permit, but you could be 18. They changed the law in like 2016 maybe. So I remember when I was leaving from Tees to VLive, the law had been changed that you had to be 21 now. But they said you're grandfathered in. So I said, oh, great. So when I went from VLive to Magic, I was like, oh, okay, let me get my permit. I'm grandfathered. You know, they were like, you're not allowed to. You're 20. And I said, but I'm grandfathered in. They said, you're not supposed to be grandfathered in. So they looked at my account. They were like, they weren't supposed to grandfather you in. I was never supposed to even work at VLive. Because before, the law changed before I got hired at VLive. They just told me I was good to go because I was grandfathered. It was crazy. Anyways, so I was like, okay, well, I'll just come back on my 21st birthday. It's in 3 days and get my permit. Like, I'm not tripping. So I did. I started at Magic, and yeah, I loved it. I made a lot of money, met a lot of people, and I'll talk about why getting hired at a strip club is different than the regular club, because you got to actually have a hustle. Like, it's not like, hey, the club promotes, get sections, and then they say, hey, Stephanie, you got table 4, 5, and 6. Tracy's at 6. Mike is at 4. Like, no. You got to, that's why you'll see at certain strip clubs, some girls is lined up at the front door ready. You need a table? You want something to drink? Because they got to hustle. You don't get nothing given to you. You only get the tables that you bring in, or the tables you grab at the door, sit them down, and sell them a section. So I worked there for 2 years, and then I got fired and went to Allure. And I'll tell y'all why I got fired. I got fired for something that had nothing to do with me. It's all love. Like, just because I got fired doesn't mean I have to be mad, angry, animosity, fuck them, or forget them, and sue them. Like, no, it just is what it is. It didn't work out, and that's okay. It didn't work out for employment, and it worked out in a better way.
Y'all, was that subtle shade? Was she basically saying, like, listen, I can have problems, but I don't have to sue them like you did, gorgeous doll? Is that what y'all are seeing here too? Because that's what I'm picking up. I could be wrong, Suge.
So I left and went to Allure. Allure hired me. So I called Henny when I got, and you know you're getting fired from Magic when your permit, they tell you not to renew your permit. Unless you just get dub fired. I didn't get dub fired. It was just time to renew my permit, and they told me not to. So that's sort of how you know. So yeah, I pretty much went over to, so when I get the call that I'm fired, I'm like, okay, well, let me go to Allure. Now, before I got fired, the 3 months before that, Allure, Magic had already been slow, because in September, I believe, Allure opened up. And when Allure opened up, Magic we weren't making no money. So the 3-4 months up until before I even got fired and went to Allure, I was already not making no money for real. I mean, I was making money, but it wasn't the type of money I was used to making, because Allure had took a lot of our clientele. Some of the girls even left and went to Allure. Anyway, so I got fired, so it was like, okay, I called Henny. Henny owns Allure. I knew Henny because he had also owned a club called Medusa years ago, and I met him, and I used to go there. So I was like, hey, I know you got Allure. Can I come? And he was like, yeah, you can come waitress. So I went over there. I started waitressing. I worked there for a little while, maybe like 8-9 months. It was lit. I made money. It was lit. I brought money in. You can ask anybody that worked with me in the strip club industry. I was bringing money in. But at Allure, it was a lot of bad. And I'll talk about, like, I want to say this. Well, I'll talk about that in the next video in my Q&A. But yeah, it was money. It was money. It was a lot of girls bringing, but it was money. It was money. So Allure. So I quit Allure. I'm sorry. I worked at Allure for a few months, and then I met this, or maybe 6-8 months. I don't even know exactly. And then I met this guy who was like, I'm going to take care of you. Blah, like, I'm going to take care of you. I got you. Like, blah, blah, blah. Don't work at the club anymore. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to call him Mr. Boss, because Mr. Boss had that bag. And he was like, I was already missing work weeks at a time to see him. So it was, and they was getting mad. So he was just like, just quit. I'll take care of you. I'll give you an allowance. So I did. And y'all could judge it. My allowance was good. And I also had another hustle. So it wasn't like, my allowance was like 10 bands a month. And I also had I had a job. The whole time I worked at Nightlife, I still had another job. So it was like, in the legal field. So I still had another hustle. So while I left Allure and started dating this guy, we dated for a few months and then we broke up. So when we broke up, I got a call around the same time from Chic. Chic was an after hours lit club that Henny owned as well. But they weren't, there was another part owner that was like, hey, we need these girls, and management was like, we need these girls trained. Stephanie, can you train? Like, they called me like, can you come train these girls? So I was like, yeah, I'll train them. Because one of the door girls from one was an after hours club that was lit. I would leave Allure and go to one I was making. Yo, if anybody remembers one was lit. It was like the only after hours in Atlanta when it first opened up. There was no other after hours. So it was crazy bread. Like, no other after hours in Atlanta at the time. So everyone was going there. If the only other after hours like was in like Marietta, everyone was at one. So I would leave Allure, go to one, get more. It was money. That it didn't last long, but it was money in there. So one of the girls, Mimi, who worked at one, she was like, I know who would be perfect. She worked at Chic as well, because Chic opened up after one closed down. One didn't last long, so Chic had opened up. It was the new after hours. She was like, I know who can train these girls, because I used to work with her at one. And so she was like, and that was easy to get hired. I got hired at one. I remember when I went there a few times, I was like, oh, this lit. And so I called Benny, I think. Benny, ENT, if you know anything about Atlanta nightlife, you got to know Benny. Benny was like, yeah, got me hired at one. Cool. So,
Y'all, I like Stephanie, I really do, but her story time skills are not the best. She pauses, stops, rewinds, forgets. I'm just saying, Suge, you might have to hit a 2x on this and speed her up.
So yeah, so at this point, I get a call from Chic, can you come train these girls? Mimi calls, they need you, they'll pay you. So I'm like, cool, I'll go train them. And I'm like, oh, you know what, why not work here? So I did a training class with the girls, and then I started working there. I met my ex there because he had came in with another girl, and we'll talk about that because that's a whole another story. And I met him there. And so then when I left Chic, I worked at Chic for a few months, and then I got fired. I got fired from Chic for arguing. So when I get fired from Chic, I didn't go get another club job at this time. I was focused on my legal career. Well, I ended up started dating my ex. So when I started dating him, I wasn't working in the club. When I met him, I was. When I started dating, I wasn't. So let me talk about the final part in the next story time.
This is the last video that she posted with this.
When we start dating, I'm not working in the club. Well, anyways, he was a dog, so I was a dog too. You want to be a dog? When we were dating, this was the beginning of our relationship, he was doing dog ass shit. And when you do dog ass shit, I'm going to meet you at the dog park. And that's what I did. I met him at the dog park. And we go to the dog park. And so I said, you know what? You want to do what you do? Cool. I'm about to start working at the club again. I don't think he knew how much it was going to hit until one day I called Henny. I was like, hey, can I work back at the club? He's like, yeah, come in. So I come in and I get hired to waitress and bartend at the time, right? Because the other time I had worked at Allure, I was strictly waitressing. So at this point now I'm waitressing and bartending. Now, this wasn't my first bartending job at the club, because remember, I bartended at VLive. So, and I'll talk about like why club bartending versus regular bartending.
You can tell Steph's about her business. I like that. They say she's a Capricorn.
So, I call him. He's like, yeah, you can come in to waitress. You hired me to waitress and bartend. So, I had a customer that was like one of my regulars. So I was like, hey, will you come in tonight? So he's like, yeah. So I sat him at the bar with one of my bartender friends. So he's sitting at the bar with her, and I'm sitting with him. We're taking shots, we're drinking, whatever. So he gets some money. He hands me money to keep for me, and then he says, throw this money on her behind the bar. So as I'm throwing the money behind the bar, she takes a video of me and tags me in it. I repost it. The man I'm dating at the time, keep in mind, I'm leaving the club and going to his house, which, because we're dating. I had my own spot, but I would leave work and go see him. So when we were at dinner the next day, we were at Houston's, he sees that video and he goes crazy. He's like, we're leaving. He goes mad. Because he sees in the video me throwing money, and there's a nigga behind me with the money. He sees the play. So he's like, you're not working there no more. Quit. And I'm like, I've only been back 2 weeks. And he's like, I was like, you're going to have to pay me to quit. And he was like, I got you. So he gave me an allowance. and I quit. Again, I don't suggest other girls just start quitting the job when a man tells you to. But the club industry, I worked so long that I knew I could get back in the club industry. I left, I wasn't worried about that. And I had my own other hustle, which was good. Like, I was in my legal career, so I still had that other source of income as well as my allowance. So I was like, shit, make me a housewife, fuck it. So I left, so I left that club, and I got with my man. I was with him for about 2 years, and then we broke up. And then I went back to the club. First club I started at, I went back and I started at Onyx. Made a few phone calls, got in. I believe Frank got me hired at Onyx. They had just, what's funny is they had just done a casting call and my car broke down. I remember I just got the Maserati truck after my Range was wrecked. Talked about that. And my Maserati truck had broke down in the middle of the interstate. It's like 6 p.m. And I'm like rushing to this casting call. So I call I called T Money and I call Frank, and they're like, you're good. Matter of fact, Courtney went there to the casting call too. We were supposed to bartend together. And then she made it, I didn't. I'm like, put me on FaceTime with them, call them. And they're like, no, you good, come in this day. It ended up, I think Courtney did like 2 shifts before me or something, and an argument ensued and it didn't work out. She's like, I'm not bartending, so I guess something happened. When you don't get your way, I guess, I don't know. I went into bartend. So Onyx wasn't really too lit at this time, but it was nights where it was decent. So I was back at Onyx. I was bartending at Onyx probably for like not even 3 months, because Rainer, you're a hater. But he not there no more anyway, so. Because you know what you was, should I? Let me not. So, I hate her. So, I was at Onyx for 3 months, got fired. And then I went over, I think I took like a month off. And then I went to Revel. So I started working at Revel. And I worked there for like 4 months. Revel is a regular club. Most of the clubs I told you about are strip clubs outside of One Chic, the after hours. This was my first time working at like a nightclub that was like a regular club during like regular nightclub hours. And Revel was lit. And I had never really been to Revel before I started working there. My friend, I forgot about Midtown Beach Club. I'm sorry. So after Onyx, I got a call from Alexis. And anybody that knows Alexis has been in ATL Nightlife for years. She is very well respected, very well known. And she's a waitress, but she's also a business owner. I think she owns a club. She's also been the door girl. So she's facilitated a lot of stuff. She's just legendary, and she's very well respected. So she calls me and she tells me, hey, can you come work? I'm about to open up Midtown Beach Club. Now, Midtown Beach Club was Domain. It's Domain on the inside, Midtown Beach Club at the pool. And it was lit. I was there for like 2 months. Midtown Beach Club was lit as hell. But management was lame and rude. Like, I'm sorry, but these white managers in these urban clubs, y'all be feeling yourself. And guess what happened? We get into it. Matter of fact, y'all still owe me $1,000. Can somebody make a call? But, so when I get fired, technically, I just didn't get put back on the schedule. And they was doing weird stuff like, y'all are late 3 minutes. Ugh. So, Alexis is like, look, I got somewhere else. Do you want to work at Revel? I was like, okay. She was like, go there at 6 p.m. Cool. So I went to Revel, worked there for like 3-4 months. Had my own clientele, booking sections, etc. I always tried to go to work with one section book. Whether I had to call somebody, and see, at the regular club, it's a little bit harder because you have to have them by a section. At the strip club, you could just say, hey, come to the bar, do this, do that. So when you're waitressing and doing bottle service at a regular club, that's a completely different hustle too, because I had to be like, hey, I might have one client. I'm like, hey, come in. He wants to buy I got to buy a whole bottle by myself. And that's where I was telling y'all live that you bring other girls to the table. You know, that's how you build your clientele. Yeah. So I was at Revel for a few months, and I got fired for, like, girl, I got fired for singing and touching a promoter that I've been friends with for years because his wife was there and mad and tried to like fight me. I'm like, baby, it's a promoter. His job is to take shots and drink with women all day. And I've known him for years. And I'm like singing. It was like R&B Wednesdays, and I'm like, yeah, like singing like jokingly. She got so hot. Like, girl, I do not want your nigga. I promise. So I got fired there, and that was in what? I think I left in like November of 2024, and I haven't been back in the club since. Not saying I wouldn't go back. I've just been focusing on my legal career, and it's been paying off. So that is my nightlife story time. When I started, how I started, when I stopped. Now the Q&A is going to be, I feel like y'all are going to like it a little bit more, because I'm definitely going to give y'all tips, tricks, what you need to do, what you don't need to do, how you do it, when you do it, where you do it, and everything else under the sun.
Okay, y'all, so that was Stephanie's nightlife story. Now, I always like to find a message in the mess, and for me, I just like Stephanie's resilience in this story. She mentioned getting fired quite a few times, but, you know, she seemed to be about her business when she was writing on her sketch pad and things like that, and she's pretty thorough. And now, I will say again, she's not the best storyteller, but I appreciate her tenacity and her will to keep going. Now, I also take from this that the nightlife comes with a lot of things you have to really consider, okay? But nonetheless, y'all, this is Stephanie, and now she's a part of this week-long debacle with Gorgeous Doll. So if you want to keep up, check out my other videos. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day, y'all.